Good evening all, welcome back to Carrow Road. A 4-0 defeat to Manchester City here this evening. A painful one. I'll keep the verdict relatively short. Not particularly surprising, is it? It's a mismatch, it's a complete differential in resources, and as someone described it in our NCFC live blog, it's like watching the Harlem Globetrotters almost, because Manchester City are the reigning champions. They're 12 points clear at the top, although Liverpool yet to play this weekend, and they are well on their way to retaining that crown. Someone asked in the live blog, what's the difference that Norwich need to make up? And I said about £1 billion. So that's not going to happen, is it? If they turn up, if they play as well as they did, just pure class. Their passing was so good, their control. Norwich worked really, really hard in this game. They had to, just to survive, to keep their heads above water. And it wasn't until the late penalty to sort of add a bit of gloss to it for Manchester City. But they had a lot of chances. I think the biggest thing you can do is compare this to the 5-0 defeat away from home earlier in the season, where Norwich were far, far worse than this. They really put in a committed effort. Kenny McLean is a good example of that. I would be interested to see the yardage covered by him, because he really was all over the pitch, great energy. And if they hadn't have worked that hard, it could have been a real embarrassing defeat, because they had a lot of chances. They hit the post, they had a goal disallowed. Angus Gunn was kept pretty busy. But this is basically Pep Guardiola's superstars. And they didn't even have Jack Grealish tonight. Picked up a knock in training. They're a £100 million man, so he wasn't involved. They were able to make 5 changes from the team that had won 2-0 at home against Brentford on Wednesday night. So coming in was no less than Kyle Walker, Nathan Ake, Zinchenko at left back, Fernandinho, Gundogan into midfield, and on the bench, Stones, Laporte, Cancelo, Rodri and De Bruyne. They didn't even need to bring De Bruyne or Rodri on, and they won 4-0 here at Carrow Road. So it was a difficult one for the fans, to be honest. The second goal went in 3 minutes after the restart, and that just killed the hope, really. We all knew that it was very unlikely, because Norwich already were starting to tire at that point. They'd put so much effort into that first half, and to only be 1-0 down at the break was still a bit of a relief. And they played pretty well. They had Grant Hanley hit the post as well when it was still 0-0, with a header from a Lise Malou cross after a corner had been cleared. So there's a lot of context to this. Most Premier League fans will, of course, just look at the score. Manchester City win 4-0 at Norwich. Surprise, surprise. They continue on their charge. They made those changes because they've got a Champions League tie on Tuesday in Lisbon, first leg of their last 16 tie against Sporting. But the stats, they had 72% of possession, 22 shots, 9 of them were on target, 8 for Norwich, 3 on target. They had 12 corners to Norwich's 4, and Norwich had to make 29 clearances to Manchester City's 9. So that pretty much sums up the game. The 2 changes for Norwich, 1 enforced. A little bit of a worry. Dean Smith not able to give us a definite timeline on it yet. Adam Eder not in the squad today. Picked up a bit of a knee injury during the Palace game on Wednesday night. He's gone for a scan. They're hoping it's not serious, but they're not saying that for definite just yet. If he is out for a significant amount of time, let's hope it's not like that. We can't make the judgment yet. Then, of course, people are going to be talking about why is Jordan Hugill out on loan and things like that, aren't they? But we'll part that for now. So him and Poeta go out of the team, back to the 4-3-3, which I think most of us were expecting. Josh Sargent came back in on the right wing, and Gilmour came into midfield. But Lise Malou played in the deeper role of the midfield 3, Gilmour to his right, and it was probably one of Gilmour's better performances, to be honest. He sort of, maybe it was the type of game that it was, playing the more expressive, open football, that he just had that bit of space to pick some passes and try a few flicks and tricks. And there were times when he looked like he fitted in against Manchester City, but only to a certain level, of course, because Norwich lost 4-0. And I'm not saying that he was absolutely brilliant either, but it was better than quite a lot of his performances this season, I think is probably fair enough to say. Man of the match, I think I'll probably just give to Kenny McLean, but there's not a standout. I think him and Angus are probably the 7s in the team in terms of the ratings. 6s, I think Williams and Rashica were pretty good on the left. Rashica I wanted to give a 7 as well, actually, just for the first half. He certainly at the beginning of the game was giving them a lot of problems, but again, just couldn't keep it but Manchester City just choked the game eventually. So yeah, Williams can have a 6, Gilmour, Lise Malou, Gibson and Hanley as well. They were both pretty jarred off with the penalty at the end. Liam Delap had come on, Rory Delap's son, young striker, and Gibson sort of nudged him as he was running through, and then Hanley ends up bundling him to the floor, and between the two of them they sort of sandwiched him, and it's a bit soft, a bit unfortunate, but by the letter of the law it is probably a penalty, and it was just rubbing salt in the wounds really right at the end of the game. But 5s I think to Aarons, Sargent and Pukki. Sargent looked like he was coming back from an illness, didn't look like he was quite at full pelt, but the whole game was basically just tracking Zinchenko, who was bombing forward and helping Sterling to double up on Max, who had started the game off really well, actually, in the same way that he started against Zaha really on Wednesday, and being aggressive, getting his foot in, being tenacious, and he forced Sterling back a few times. He got his foot in and made the tackle, but the first goal just came from a mistake, just a total mistake. He had the chance to clear a Kyle Walker cross from the right, swing and a miss basically, doesn't manage to get the ball clear, and then Sterling's on it like a shot, and a bit similar to Zaha but from slightly closer range, just curls a nice shot into the top right corner. Angus Gunn absolutely no chance. That was in the 31st minute, and that started the victory really. Once they got in front, you never really expected much else. And Pukki, it's a tough shift, obviously, but there were a few times where he just gave the ball away a bit too easily, really. And there was one shot that he managed to get on target that Edison held, and it's just a tough day at the office, isn't it? I don't think there's any need for us to, go too deep with the analysis. I don't think even when they get back in together at Colney and go back to training, I don't even know if they'll bother with sort of post-match analysis and a full debrief. It's almost just one you just shake off and forget about, because it's a mismatch, isn't it? All that fuss about the Super League, maybe we've got one, basically. We've got the teams at the very top in Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool, who are in a bit of a class apart. Arsenal won 5-0 here on Boxing Day, against a bit of a depleted Norwich side that day, but they are in a very different league. Man United have got some stunning players, haven't they? And they've obviously had another weird season, but they should be better than they are. Norwich can't really compete with them in terms of resources and things. So, but that's a bit of a deeper debate, isn't it? Subs wise, Smith responded in the 63rd minute, so that's when it's still 1-0. Yeah, still 2-0. The third goal hadn't gone in just yet. He brought on Byram and Norman in the 63rd minute for Aarons and Gilmour, and then Dow just came on late for Sargent in the 87th minute, and Man City were able to roll on the kids, really. A couple of players I'd never even heard of, McAtee and Kai, and Liam Delap I had heard about previously as well. So I won't go through all the various events, but safe to say, Man City dominated. They had a lot of chances. Angus Gunn made a few decent saves here and there, didn't do a lot wrong. He actually saves the penalty in the 90th minute. Pretty poor effort from Raheem Sterling for his hat-trick. He just sort of a savable height to Gunn's left. He guesses correctly, makes the save, but the parry drops nicely in front of the goal, and Sterling can just poke it in from close range. The second one just after the break as well. I mean, it's a lovely goal in terms of the way that Man City have worked it. It's like a training ground move. They played the corner short, and Foden whips a nice cross to the back post. Diaz is there to head down, and then it's nice and easy for for Foden to turn in. I've got those ones confused. For Foden, that one, it came in from the left. That was when they doubled up on Max, wasn't it? It was when Sterling played Silva in behind Max Aarons. He crosses, and then Foden initially is thwarted by Angus Gunn. Ball comes back to him, and he manages to squeeze a shot past Brandon Williams. In real time, it looks like Hanley's made a great save, clearance off the line. And once Hawkeye shows it is just over the line, and that was a pretty cruel goal as well for Norwich. Same as the first one was, really a horrible mistake for Max that was so marginal, really. If he just made contact with that ball, it probably doesn't happen, and he gets the clearance away, and he probably should have done. Hanley so nearly prevents that one. The penalty, like we said, pretty harsh. And it's the third one, which was Sterling's second goal, which was the more simple one, when Foden swings it to the back post, Diaz heads down, and Sterling just has to tap it into an empty net. So, we'll leave it there and move on, shall we? Just a small matter of Liverpool next, away from home, Anfield, next Saturday. So, as we knew coming into these two games, it's a difficult back-to-back spell. they've almost just got to try and, their classic phrase, ignore the noise. They've just got to get on with it, do the best they can, go into it with these same sort of hopes and spirit and try and upset Liverpool. But frankly, if they lose 4-0 again, none of us are going to be greatly surprised. Everything is about the games that follow, isn't it? Southampton away, Brentford at home, Leeds away. They've got to get points from those ones, because if they weren't and they come out the other side of that with all the games in hand that the other teams have got, Newcastle play tomorrow, so the table could start to look even worse. Then it's going to look like they've had a little bit of a surge and then it's tailed off. So they've got to get something out of those 3 games. But I guess we've just got to go to Anfield and enjoy it as much as we can. 10 days before we go back there for the FA Cup. So that's not the nicest of quirks, but there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and head over to Pink and Plus for all the post-match reaction and analysis.